Hi, everybody. Welcome to our session. Thank you for joining us today. So we're going to talk today about how we unify a user experience with data visualizations and generative AI. So we're going to tell you everything about what was the problem that we tried to solve, and also how were the decisions that we made to do the technical implementations. So my name is Edelweiss Kammerman. I'm the Associate VP of AI and ML for IT Conversions. With me is Justin Ward, who is the Senior Manager of the Analytics and Data Science at Turnpoint Services. And before jumping into the juicy technical details, let's talk something about us. So my name is Edelweiss, as I mentioned. Everybody calls me Edel. It's easier that way. I have more than 25 years of experience in analytics and data integration, and in the last 5-6 years with AI and machine learning. So I usually speak at international conferences like this one. I build teams from scratch, global analytics teams, and AI and machine learning teams. And I'm a computer engineer, and I'm from Uruguay. So if you're wondering where Uruguay is, it's right there, between Argentina and Brazil. And these pictures are from Montevideo, which is the capital. And this thing looks like a mothership is our airport. So I work for a company that's called IT Conversions. It's a US company. That is a company that we have offices around the globe. It's a global services company with more than 25 years of experience of building solutions for our clients. And we offer different types of services, moving everybody to the cloud, analytics and integration. We are technology agnostic. So we are partners with Databricks, with GCP, with Azure, with Oracle, and with AWS. So, Justin, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you, Edel. Justin Ward, I am the Senior Manager of Data Science and Analytics at Turnpoint Services. I have been in data in various data roles for about a decade, and I'm about to hit my 4-year mark at Turnpoint Services. Turnpoint Services is an HVAC roll-up company, but we include electric and plumbing companies in there. The premise of what we do is we go around and we purchase HVAC and electric and plumbing companies across the United States and add value through our front and back office expertise, giving them access to great vendors like ITC. We have about 60 brands in 31 states, and we're continuing to grow.
Awesome.
Excellent. So our problem statement looks something like this. We have excellent Power BI reporting, we have excellent data, but our Power BI reporting was a bit intense. We have hundreds of reports, hundreds of pages, and within that, a lot of dashboards. So if I'm a GM or an analyst looking to put together a thesis or an analysis, it's going to take me quite a bit of time. So this was an opportunity to leverage our tech stack, which is pretty lightweight. We are Databricks on top of AWS. Maybe leverage a native solution with one of those, and then also, probably just as important, consolidate how our users are interacting with our data. I don't want people going to Databricks or another platform for an AI chatbot, and then Power BI for reporting, and then our CRM. Everything should kind of be in one place. So that's when the solution, which Edel brought to us, was.
Yeah, so the solution that we built, it was have one single entry point for Power BI data visualizations and also for AI BI Genie. And the way that users can interact with Power BI data visualization is exactly the same as they enter into Power BI, okay? But you will have the plus to also interact with Genie and asking natural language questions. So the catch on this is, for this solution to work, we need to have the same data set in Power BI and in Genie, okay, and in Databricks. And what I mean about exact same data set means exact same columns, exact same data, same dimensions, same facts, same metrics, okay? So in the following slides, I'm going to explain to you all the phases that we've gone through this project, starting with obviously analyzing which is the environment, the Power BI environment, the Databricks environment, analyzing also, do the necessary changes with inside Databricks, inside Power BI, build the Genie workspace, and configure it. and also build the Databricks app to host both Power BI report and Genie. So the first stage of this project was analysis and documentation. So what we want first, it was to talk with the business users, understand exactly what are their business needs, and also their expectation and the pain points. One thing that we also wanted to do is to explain very clearly which is the solution, what the things that solution can do and cannot do. And this is important because usually, in nowadays, it's like you can do with Genie API whatever, right? It's like, I don't know, it's like your fairy godmother with a magic wand that can do whatever you want. And it's not like that. So setting the right expectations to users is very, very important. So what we did after that, it was analyzing the Databricks medallion architecture, analyze all the schemas, all the tables. We analyze also the Power BI data sets and the data metrics and DAX metrics. And what we try to find out with Power BI metadata. So what happens? Usually when you have the data engineer team that is building the data set for Power BI developer to create the reports. So right now in Databricks, you have this very nice feature that which is with one click, you can publish the data set into Power BI without having to put all the details, right? But once the Power BI, the data set is in Power BI, Databricks honestly doesn't know what is happening with that data set, okay? And the Power BI developer usually, what he has? He has the requirements from the business user and the data set that is given to him by the data engineer. And sometimes, usually often, what happens is that it's not fit exactly what he has to deliver. So because of that, he's starting to massaging the data, do transformations, adding new columns, maybe, I don't know, filtering data, and all of that are transformations, okay? So the first thing that we try to look at in the Power BI dataset, if their dataset have something like that, did they have any transformation? Do we have new columns built in Power BI with Power BI query that obviously Databricks doesn't have any idea of it? And also DAX metrics. So if you're familiar with Power BI, so how many people of you are working with Power BI? Wow, so everybody. Okay, so as you know, building metrics is you use the DAX language, right? So we need to find out how many metrics do we have any intermediate calculation, all of that. Because remember, we need to have the exact same data set in Databricks and in Power BI. So what we have found is there were a lot of transformations built in Power BI using Power BI query, new columns, and these new columns, it wasn't new metrics. There were new columns, like for example, flag columns or columns that it's new information that it was built in Power BI. We also saw that the relationships between tables were created in Power BI and not in Databricks. And also, we found out time dimension, so a calendar table, right? And it's important that, for example, when we want to analyze data, we usually want to analyze data against time. So if I'm a Power BI developer and I'm building my own calendar table, someone else can build their own calendar table. Or other application can build their own calendar table. That doesn't make any sense, right? So we have to talk about the same calendar table because I can add, for example, I don't know, 5 holidays and the other person can add 3 holidays because he forgot that there was another 2 holidays during the year. So because of that, the solution that we found is move these transformations into the place that they should be, which is the Databricks modern platform, right? So why we're doing this? Because we want to reinforce the approach of one single version of truth, okay? So I want that if I build a new column, it has to be in Databricks, so everybody can use it, and everybody's talking about the same data, okay? And also the performance of the report is going to be improved. So we improve the performance of the report in doing this. We have better data governance, okay, because we are all talking about the same things, and we reinforce the approach of one single version of truth. So the next step was doing all these changes in Databricks. So we built a new schema. We create this new data set. We add the columns that were in Power BI. We add the time dimension. We also found out that we needed to apply some cleansing into the data. There was many null values and things like that. And also numeric primary keys. Okay? So we found out also that it was the primary key that were used. It was a very long string, concatenated string columns. And that is not a best practice. Okay? For the warehousing, it's best to have numeric primary keys. You can do it with surrogate keys, or you can do it, doing a transformation with the string column to the numeric one. Okay? Once you have all the transformations in Databricks, the following thing that you have to do is to make the data AI ready. So right now in Databricks, you have the possibility to use the AI assistant utility when you define, we generate table descriptions and column descriptions, okay? And that is important for any generative AI application, not only for Genie, right? So you need to have more metadata that explains to the generative AI solution, which is this column about, okay? Once we have everything done in Databricks, we need to do the changes to reflect these changes that we have done in Power BI. So we need to connect the report to the new data set, and we also need to eliminate all the transformation that we have now handled by Databricks, okay? So I have talked until now about new columns, like dimensions, like calendar table, and what about metrics, right? Because the metrics, we need to define the metrics in DAX, using DAX in Power BI. But we also need Genie to get access or understand the Power BI metrics. So how we can do it? Until today, there is no object to define metrics in Databricks. Until today, and I don't want to be a spoiler, but I think I'm going to be one. But in the near future, there is something that is called Unity Catalog Metrics. If you're interested in that, there are 2 sessions on Thursday, okay, that you can go and see what this is about. But the idea is to have unified the definition of metrics inside Databricks, okay? But until now, we don't have it. So we need to find a solution for that. The solution was, okay, I will take the DAX definition for my metric and transform it into a SQL sentence. And that SQL sentence, we're going to add it into Genie. So Genie will understand that this metric has this definition, okay? It's like a translation between DAX language and SQL. So we build the Genie workspace. I don't know if you're familiar with Genie, but how many of you have been playing with Genie? Oh, a lot of people, that's good. So one thing that that you know already is that building a Genie workspace is very easy. You can add the data. You have to do everything in the definition of the Genie workspace, and you need to define the instructions and the SQL definitions. So one thing that I have seen in other clients is people is getting very excited about Genie, and they enable it to business users without putting much more instructions on it, and that is a problem, right? So we have sometimes the idea that because this is a smart product, they don't need, he doesn't need much more instructions. So with 1, 2, 3 lines, it is okay. And it's not, okay? So you need to be very specific of, for example, if they want the data to be filtered in some way, if you want, what do you mean by, I don't know, leads? What do you mean by other concepts that you have in your data? And also be very clear about the thing that you want that the solution that Genie does, and what are the things that Genie doesn't have to do, okay? So as best practices, I suggest to have a very detailed instructions for Genie, very, very detailed, will be a lot of paragraphs, explaining the concepts, explaining, for example, if the user asks about a specific content, you should use that column, okay? These type of things. Because sometimes because we are very familiar with the data, we think that it's quite clear, and sometimes it's not. So if you enable Genie and give it to the users without having a very, a lot of testing of Genie, they're going to lose the confidence. It's something that obviously we don't want. So this is one thing. The other thing is adding SQL queries. In addition to the SQL queries that we have been talking about, that defining the metrics that we are using in Power BI, you can add other SQL queries. For example, if you have a very complex way to calculate a KPI, or if they want that the result when the user asks for something go through a specific SQL query, you have to add it here. And then we use something that it is pretty cool, which is the Databricks app. So for Databricks app, again, it's very easily new application, and you build a new app. You have several templates, very simple templates, like, I don't know, for a chatbot, and you can use Streamlit, you can use Grad.io. In our case, we decided to use Streamlit just because we are very familiar with it, we really like it. So we decided to use Streamlit for the language for the Databricks app. And we built this application that it will contain both Genie and Power BI report. And for Power BI report, what we built is just, we create an iframe, and we embedded the Power BI report there, and we use the Genie conversation API to interact with the Genie application. So with that, the question is passing through Genie and is managing in that way. One thing that is quite funny, one of my guys that were working on this also, they wanted also that he would like that the way that you can configure the Genie, he wanted to be also in the code, and it's not. So if you want the configuration of Genie, you have to do it inside the workspace, and to use it, you can use the Genie conversation API. So this is the look like we have right now. It's not the definitively look, but it is the way that we have the Power BI report and Genie. And we also try to, in order to compare how good was the Databricks application or not, we try to build also an Azure application. And it was painful, honestly. Because in Databricks app, you have all the security. You can set the security very easily. You have all the security because you have the data governance. So the Databricks app is inside of the Databricks platform. So you have all the data governance, you have all the access there, so security was very easy. And also the deployment. The deployment, it took like, I don't know, a couple of minutes every time that we did the deployment of the application. With Azure application, it was complicated because obviously, we need to have other people to define the resource group, select the pricing plan. So we decided there are two ways basically to build this application. Is using a GitHub repository or VS Code Azure extension. And we decided to use the last one, but again, it was painful. We have several errors with permissions, with security. So honestly, the deployment with the Databricks app, it was so much better. So the deployment was a lot faster. We have, as I mentioned to you, security model is a lot simpler because you have all the data governance and all the security inside the Databricks. So, and also the iteration, because you are sync your directory when you're building the application with Databricks. So iteration is very easy in maintenance too. So the most important part of this session. Justin, could you give us the honor to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. If this doesn't work, I've got a video.
It's a live demo, eh? We are, people that
So far,
like
so
to
good.
take risks.
Perfect. We're going to zoom in a little for, oh my God. We'll get there. All right. So we're going to start by building confidence as an analyst in what we're looking at, comparing what Power BI is showing, which I know is true, to what Genie is going to tell me. So I'm going to do what's an easy question. So kind of leads for maybe March of 2025. Then hopefully, yeah, there we go, perfect. Well, that's loading. I'm going to get to March. Boom, 5,805. Leads is that first column. 5,805. Let's do one more, just a quick sanity check. So what was maybe my TGL rate for August of 2024? Again, all we're trying to do is what is Power BI saying, which I know is true, what Genie is going to tell me. Excellent. Well, that is loading. Let's take a look. 60.78. Perfect. I'll zoom up here real quick. This column is TGL conversion.
So you see that, right? Oh, just in case.
Excellent. 60.8. Rounding up 60.8.
Perfect.
Excellent. So looking at this dashboard, if I'm an analyst, let's take a step back. At Turn Point, we have decided that conversion rate growth is a good determiner, very good determiner of how you are going to do as a business the existing year. If I wanted to pull conversion rate growth from this dashboard, the best way to do that would be looking at weeks and then doing some selection in Power BI, going to 2025, writing down the number, 2024, ditto. What I can do with Genie, now that I know it's telling me the truth, is I can ask it. Let's get out of here. Something a little more challenging. Again, if I was an analyst, I'd have to figure out the last week. We're in week 24, maybe go to week 23, do some math. It's telling me that we're using fake data, of course. TGL rate is decreasing by 290 basis points. It's telling me that my TGL conversion rate is 58.99, 59%. So now instead of, again, having to mess with Power BI, I have the answer right away after a prompt. Let's get to something a little more complicated. Maybe not complicated, but using this dashboard setup, if I wanted to find the count of brands that are or are not growing at a certain rate, I really couldn't do that. But with Genie, short period of time, it gets me. Outstanding. Doing a quick look at all of these, the number on the left of 25 is greater than the number on the left of 24. Take a little segue here. This, to me, is also the bull case for Genie over maybe Copilot. if I wanted to take this list of brands, and if we had, for the scope of what we're presenting on, we're only looking at this data for this dashboard. But I could take these brands and ask, what was the year-over-year demand for these brands? And if my data is trained on my demand data set, Genie would give me an answer. Whereas with Copilot, the data is you're only going to get an answer for the dashboard and data that you're looking at. So.
Totally.
Excellent.
Perfect. So what is the thing that you like it more about this solution? Which is your most excited conclusion about this?
So a couple things. One, I think consolidation of how users engage with the data. They're not going to Databricks for Genie and then Power BI for reporting. They're going to Power BI for Genie and reporting. And then, of course, having access to a single source of truth to ask a broad base of questions based off of, all right, well, let's look at conversion rate. What does my demand look like?
That's brilliant. And also the fact for me that you don't have tons of different column definitions out there, right? So you have everything in Databricks. Data governance is completely reinforced, and also one single version of truth. And this is important because I can have different definitions of the same column, if I don't have that. So for me, that is the most important conclusion. And I think that we build a good solution having this metric definition, as the UC metrics is not there yet, inside Genie. So we are talking about the same thing too. Okay? So please don't forget to fill the survey for the session. We really hope that this is some material that you can have it also, if you want to go a little bit deeper into Genie Conversation API and Databricks App. There are a lot of videos also on YouTube that could help you, and starting playing with that. So I will pause so you can take the pictures. Perfect. And so thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this session was useful for you. And thank you so much. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
Excellent.